Fortnite Chapter 6 Season 2 coming to an end. I've gotta say, this is one of my favorite seasons of all time. And one of the main reasons behind that is the new exotics that they added. They bring a lot of variety to the loot pool without cluttering it too much. And I really like that they're making new exotics again, and I hope they keep on doing this for more seasons to come. So in this video, I'm gonna be ranking every single Lawless exotic weapon from worst to best. This will be based off on just how good they are, and also just how much value they bring to my inventory. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more rankings. And also, if you disagree with this video, I would really like to know what your favorite exotic is, because not all of our opinions are the same, and there's surely going to be a lot of controversial picks on this list. But overall, I actually really liked a lot of these exotics, and they all have their own little uses. So without further ado, let's get on with the video, starting off with our last place spot, which is easily going to be the final mark rifle. This is a Falcon Eye sniper that marks players when you hit them, and while they're marked, you can deal extra damage to them if you hit them again with the sniper. The marking effect on this weapon isn't too bad, especially in team game modes. If you hit someone, it's kind of like telling your teammates who in the other team is low, because the sniper doesn't really do that bad damage. The extra damage on marked opponents isn't really the biggest deal to me, probably because I'm just really bad at hitting players with snipers, at least consistently. But I kind of wish that this effect allowed other weapons to deal extra damage, because I feel like that would make the sniper a lot more useful. Other than that, this weapon also does a lot of damage to cars and is also able to knock them back. An interesting thing about this weapon is that it actually does more damage to opponents the farther away they are, which I think is pretty cool, and I hope they do this with more snipers, because I think that would be a really nice way to balance them out. And to my knowledge, there isn't a cap to how much damage the weapon can do. So you could probably be doing like 250 plus headshots to players from hundreds of meters away, which is pretty nice, but it doesn't really make me want to use this weapon. The main issue with it is the fact that we have another tracking sniper in the game that literally does everything this weapon does, but better. So because of that, this weapon just isn't really that special. It's an alright weapon, but it just doesn't really add as much value to my inventory as other long-range weapons. At our number 11 spot, we have the Slap Twin-Fire Auto Shotgun. This is a twin-fire auto shotgun that gives you the ability to sprint infinitely when you have the weapon equipped. It also makes it so your weapon's magazine reloads while you're sprinting. I think this is a pretty good effect. Just being able to run infinitely is great for mobility, and it also is really good when combined with the Fletcher Cane Medallion. The extra reloading effect is also really nice with the twin fire auto shotgun, because I think we all know how bad the reload time on the twin fire is. Like, just having to spend 4 seconds reloading like 7 shots on this weapon is a little absurd. So the extra reload time does kind of fix this issue, but not really that much. While the effect on this weapon is amazing, I think the big issue with it is just the fact that it's a twin fire auto shotgun, which is by far my least favorite shotgun in the entire loot pool. So while the slap effect is really nice to have, it doesn't make it enough for me to want to use this over any of the other shotguns in the loot pool. So that's pretty much why this weapon is ranking so low. At our number 10 spot, this is going to be the Explosive Mammoth Pistol. This is a mammoth pistol that shoots explosive bullets. On paper, this sounds incredible because the normal mammoth pistol is already so good, but in practice, it's not really that good. I mean, it is good, but in a sense of it just being an explosive weapon, like, it has its uses, like being able to be really strong against cars, you can shoot people through them, and it's also good for flushing players out of cover. But compared to the normal Mammoth pistol, it's just not as good. The best thing about the normal Mammoth pistol is that it's a hit scan weapon that does a lot of damage, so you don't ever have to worry about leading your shots. You can just peek, hit the player, deal a lot of damage, etc. And you can even hit people out of the sky with it. The explosive Mammoth pistol, on the other hand, is projectile, so you actually have to lead your shots, and the damage it does compared to the normal Mammoth isn't really that crazy. So I really just view this more of like an explosive weapon than anything. And it's not really as good as the other explosives we had, like the boom bow, the repeater rifle, and even the red eye from chapter 4. It's really just a more balanced version of those. It's really good in its niche scenarios, like I can give it that, but those niche scenarios aren't really that important to me to make me want to carry this weapon a lot. One good note about this weapon though is that it's really nice with the Scorpion medallion. It does even more damage with that because you always have the extra damage for the first shot since this weapon only has one bullet in the mag. But other than that, it's just okay. At our number 9 spot, we have the slap cannon. This is a chug cannon that gives you the slap effect whenever you use it. I've talked a lot about how I like the slap effect with the slap twin fire auto shotgun, and this weapon does that a little bit better because you don't have to have the weapon equipped, and then it also heals you. Gives you 20 health and then recharges every 15 seconds, which is actually better than the normal chug cannon. The main issue a lot of people have with this weapon is that it has durability, but I never really had that big of a problem with it. Like, it still heals you like 500 health, and you can also heal your teammates, which is pretty nice. And every time I've had this weapon in my inventory, I've managed to keep it for a long time during the match. So it's not really that big of a deal to me that it has durability. Would I have preferred it not having durability? Yes, but it's not really that my biggest issue with this weapon. My main problem with this item is the fact that it takes up 2 inventory slots. And as someone who plays a lot of solos, I don't really value healing items all that much in my inventory. Like, I want to carry heals, but I don't want to dedicate 2 slots just for a healing item. I know it has mobility to it as well, but the slap effect isn't really the best mobility to have like exclusively. So because of that, I don't really use this slap cannon all that much, but I can see how it can be really good in team game modes, especially since you can heal your teammates and give them all the slap effect, which can give you all a really high advantage in the game. But as I said before, I am someone who just likes to play solos, so I'm not really going to be carrying this a lot. If you do play team game modes a lot, I can see you ranking this item a little bit higher, but I feel like I'm in a minority when I say I don't really care that much about the durability on this weapon, so that might not even be true. Overall, good weapon, just not something I want to use a lot. At our number 8 spot, we have the Stink Rifle. This is a hunting rifle that shoots stink clouds on impact. The hunting rifle is one of my favorite weapons ever. It's really versatile for a sniper because it doesn't have a scope, meaning that you can hit players from close range. It also does a lot of damage, being able to one-shot for a headshot at all ranges. And unlike the hunting rifle from Chapter 6 Season 1, this weapon actually doesn't have any bullet drop. Instead, it has a much slower travel time, which I don't really mind. The stink effect isn't really the biggest deal ever though. Like, it's nice for flushing players out of cover and exposing them for a good hunting rifle shot. But it's not really the greatest effect ever, especially for a hunting rifle. I feel like it would be a lot better with another weapon. But other than that, I think that it's still pretty nice. Like, the effect doesn't ruin the hunting rifle. It's still a really good weapon. I guess the only reason why I'm ranking it so low is because it just doesn't really add too much value to my inventory. Like, it's a good weapon, but like with how much hit scan weapons there are in the loot pool, having a sniper just isn't really that crazy to me. But other than that, it's a really fun weapon, just not really a great effect. At our number 7 spot, we have the Lawless Exotics Holo Twister. This is a Holo Twister AR that shoots faster the longer you shoot it. This makes it so the weapon has like a much faster fire rate. It doesn't work like the Accelerant shotgun. It actually just shoots faster whether you hit the opponent or not. And like compared to the normal holo, I don't really like it as much. The thing I like about the normal holo AR is that it's very well rounded, and this weapon just feels very gimmicky compared to it. Like, there are situations where this weapon can be better, like if you're trying to shoot out someone from cover, if you're trying to shoot out cars, or if your enemy is just flat out not like have any mobility. But I feel like those situations just don't really matter that much, and any other weapon could have done the job. Like, I feel like in the situations where the holo is worse, like just in general fighting good players, the normal holo twister would be something I would prefer, especially in close range, because the fire rate for this weapon is much slower than the normal one when you're just shooting a weapon normally. So because of that, it's not a weapon that I would want to use all that much. But it is still a pretty good weapon. But because it's worse than the holo, it just can't rank that high on the list. At our number 6 spot, we have the Trinity Assault Rifle. This is a collateral damage AR that shoots multiple shots at once. So think of it like a shotgun assault rifle. It sounds pretty cool, and in certain situations, this thing can be really good, especially at close range, where it's a lot easier to hit those 3 shots at once. And then also when combining it with something like a pump shotgun, the DPS is really high on it. But like all shotguns, this weapon is very inconsistent. So if you're shooting players at longer ranges, don't expect to deal a lot of damage with this. I see a lot of people talk about how like standing still and shooting at players with this weapon can make it good. But I feel like in this loot pool, with all of these really good ARs and like the Mammoth pistol, that's just not really a good idea at all. But I still think this weapon is really good in the situations that it's good in. Would I prefer this over a normal collateral AR? No, but I feel like the strengths between both these weapons are a lot closer than the strengths between it and the strengths between the Accelerant AR and the Holo Twister. So I like this weapon a lot more. It's kind of like a more like versatile version of the collateral damage AR. But at the same time, I feel like in the situation where the collateral damage AR is like really strong, this weapon is not nearly as good. But overall, I definitely had a much better time using this weapon the more I got to use it. So this weapon definitely ranks higher than where I would have ranked it, which probably would have been like at number 10 or 11. At our number 5 spot, we have the Slap Jug. This is a chug jug that gives you the slap effect whenever you use it, which is really good. There's a lot of slap items on this list, and this is definitely the best one. My one complaint with this item would be the fact that you can't use it when you have full health. So because of that, you can't really take advantage of the slap effect as much, and it gets reduced mostly healing item. So what I would do with this is just have like low health, and then pop this item when I'm ready to fight someone. And it has worked, but I definitely do wish that you were able to just pop this whenever you want it. But overall, there's not really a lot to say about this item. It's pretty straightforward, and that's why it's ranking at the top 5, because it's not really gimmicky. At our number 4 spot, we have the Blink Pump and Dump. This is a pump and dump that gives you the 0-point dash effect whenever you reload. Now, I used to not like the pump and dump at all. It was probably my least favorite shotgun until they buffed it, and I got to use it a lot more. And right now, I think it's one of my favorite shotguns in the loot pool. It's really fun to use and really strong at close range. And I think the 0-point effect only makes it better, because now you're able to just like dash around, make yourself a much harder opponent to hit, and you can also use this to rotate around the map. And since this weapon has a fast reload time, you can do that. The 0-point effect also makes this weapon really good when countering the bat, which is an item that I'm not very fond of, and I just had a really good time using this item. Like, the pump and dump is a really good weapon, and this weapon is pretty much just that, but with the 0-point effect attached to it. So overall, this is a great weapon with a great effect. So I definitely really like using this. I still prefer the pump as my main shotgun. This is definitely a close second. The only thing keeping me from like saying this is the best shotgun is just because the playstyle. Like, I just much prefer the pump playstyle. So sometimes I just won't really pick the shotgun up because the pump is just my personal favorite in the loot pool. But this shotgun is still really fun to use, and if I ever want to switch it up, this weapon is definitely my pick. Especially compared to the rest of the shotguns in the meta, this weapon definitely deserves the number 4 spot. And at our number 3 spot, we have the Heavy Impact Tracking Rifle. This is the sniper I talked about all the way back when we were talking about the Final Mark sniper. And this is a heavy impact sniper that marks the entire area around where this bullet hits. This is amazing, especially if you're playing team game modes. You just be able to know your opponent's every move. And then also on the side of that, this is just a really good sniper. Like, it does a lot of damage to the body, a lot of damage to the head, like it can one-shot, and it also does a lot of damage to vehicles. So an all-around great sniper that also has an amazing effect to it. And even though this weapon is a sniper, and I have talked about how like I don't really like using snipers, the utility that this weapon provides makes it good enough that I would not mind sacrificing heals or mobility for it. So overall, I think this is definitely one of the best exotic weapons we have ever had, and one of the best snipers. But now we are moving on to just mobility for our next 2 spots. And our number 2 spot is going to be the Shockwave rocket launcher. This is a rocket launcher that is able to knock you or opponents back wherever it hits. And I am a guy who loves using mobility items, and one of my favorite mobility items are shockwave grenades. So of course this weapon would rank very high. You can pretty much do almost everything a shockwave grenade can do, but sometimes to even greater degree, like being able to knock opponents like very far back, or just launching yourself very far. And because it has rocket ammo, you can easily replenish it by just eliminating opponents, because you know, not a lot of people use rocket ammo weapons. I still don't really like it as much as normal shockwave grenades, just because it can be very like random wherever you launch with it. Like sometimes you won't even go where you wanna. And shockwave grenades are just a lot more like simple to use and just a lot faster. So if you want to get out of a bad situation or you just want to push someone, I think shockwaves would just be better. But as far as like rotating around the map or like flushing players from cover, this weapon is really good for that. So overall, this is a really cool weapon. One of the most unique and fun weapons we have ever had. It's a reference to the rocket jump from TF2, if you've ever played that game. And yeah, it's just a really fun weapon. It's a mobility item, and I definitely do not mind having it in my inventory. But there is an item that I think is definitely much better and a lot more unique than the rocket jump. And that is going to be our number one spot, the Rift Launcher. The Rift Launcher is a sticky grenade launcher that shoots rifts. This is definitely the most sought after exotic in the entire game. Like, if you've been anywhere near the Mass Meadows black market, you won't know like how many people land there. It is practically the tilted towers of the season. And the main reason behind that is the sticky grenade launcher. The Rift Launcher. And for good reason. This item is very good in a lot of ways. You can use it to rotate around the map. You can also use it to get into fights a lot easier. And also you can use it to get out of a bad situation. I don't really like it for that because people love to run away with this item. I mostly like it because it's a good way to get into fights, and then also just for moving around the map. Like, I don't think there's a mobility item in the game that is better for that than this. And then it's also infinite. It doesn't have any ammo, it doesn't have durability. You can use it for as long as you want, and you also don't have, and it also doesn't really have a slow reload time or recharge time. And there's also just a lot of really creative plays I've seen people do with this item, like using it to like launch players in the air and then snipe them. It's really cool. I tried doing this before, but I'm just not good enough for that. The same goes for the scorpion tactic, where you just drag players from the sky and then just launch them to fall damage. It's also really good for that. And like, this item is probably the closest thing that any of the exotics have gone to just being like a meta item, because like people just love to run away from it. It can definitely heavily impact like the length of the game, even though people are just like, once like you catch them out of the air, they're instantly eliminated. It's not even funny. But yeah, I mostly just use it to W key to lobby though. Like, I like getting into fights, and this item is really good for that. But overall, all of these exotics have been really fun. And I also like how none of them are like straight up broken, like the Heisted Accelerator Shotgun. And they're all just really quirky and fun. So that's really all I have for this list. If you guys liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you enjoy ranking content, definitely want to stick around for more, so subscribe. I try to make more ranking videos. I know we have a new season coming soon, so I'll probably rank like Star Wars items or something like that. And I also don't just make Fortnite content. I know this is a Fortnite video, but I definitely want to make more content on more games. Also, don't forget to comment down what your favorite exotic weapon is, or even just posting a ranking of your own on the comments would be really cool. I try to read all of my comments, so don't be afraid to post an opinion of your own, and do not be negative in the comments either. Like, just remember, we all have different opinions. And yeah, just have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.